an explanation of the hard problem of consciousness, what it is like to be a water strider or a bat or whatever else it happens to be. But of course, David provides no such explanation. In fact, he deals with the hard problem of consciousness in the beginning of Infinity and just observes that he has no answer for it. No one does. If you did, then you would earn, one would presume, the equivalent of the Nobel Prize in philosophy. There is no such. If you can understand it, and Bokosian does come to this eventually, if you can't program it, you haven't understood it. But consciousness is the very thing that David is talking about. If you can't program a system to be conscious, then you haven't understood what consciousness is. Now, for important reasons, that's why I made a video like this, where I posit, I'm not saying I believe this theory. I'm not saying that this is the theory that I think is true or anything like that. I'm just saying I'm putting it out there as an alternative to the theories everyone already knows, which are, when it comes to consciousness, there's panpsychism. In other words, everything is conscious, from human beings through to lower primates, through to more basic mammals, through to insects, through to water striders and gnats and, I don't know, atoms themselves, okay, non-living things too. That's panpsychism. You just add more and more complexity in terms of matter and you get more and more consciousness. That's that idea. Now, related, but technically different to that, is the nervous system complexity idea. The more complex the nervous system, the more consciousness you get. So a human being is the most conscious thing able to suffer the most. A nervous system that is slightly less complex, such as that of a cat, would have less consciousness, less capacity to suffer. Go down to a mouse, go down to a flea, and you have nervous systems. Those things can all suffer to some extent. But once you get into the realm of mollusks, which have no functioning brain or nervous system, there's no capacity to suffer. And certainly with bacteria, there's no capacity to suffer. So those things, they cut off consciousness at not the, a single particle. With panpsychism, there is no limit, right? Everything is conscious to some extent. It's just that when you arrange the matter in more complex ways, you get more consciousness. That's that idea. The idea with the computational one, this one, the complexity of the nervous system, says that you do cut off consciousness at a particular line. There's a black and white line. And the line is drawn either side of the existence of a nervous system. More complex nervous systems have more capacity to suffer. Less complex nervous systems have less capacity to suffer. That seems logical to most people, okay? But you're drawing an arbitrary line, I would say. A nerve in and of itself, a single nerve or a group of nerves, there's no reason to presume that that nerve has qualia associated with it or consciousness associated with it. After all, it might just be a mechanical thermostat-like device. Are thermostats conscious? That's kind of what a nerve can do. A nerve can control a muscle. It can cause a reaction to things. Doesn't mean it's conscious. And if it is conscious, then you're basically arguing that consciousness is a part of the hardware. And so we can already program, because we could program what a nerve does. I won't go into the computational arguments for that. The argument I give here in Are Consciousness and Creativity the Same Thing? I'm asking the question. I'm positing a hypothesis, which I don't think has been put out there before, which is that they're two sides of the same coin. And one side of the coin is what other people notice in other people, which is their capacity to explain their own inner feelings, their capacity to be creative, their capacity to suffer, all that kind of stuff. The fundamental, deepest thing that is there is the capacity to generate explanations. And derivative of that is what other people often point to as this is the thing that is defining characteristic of human beings or people, namely their capacity to reason morally, do mathematics, suffer, experience any conscious phenomenon, or, let's say, understand the laws of physics. I say those are all derivative of a deeper truth about what people are, which is the capacity to generate explanatory theories, to be a universal explainer. And So that's the fundamental thing, and everything else arises out of that. Now, I'm saying that's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is what it's like to be a universal explainer. What it's like to be a universal explainer, I just say, is consciousness. Consciousness and creativity, same thing. Just depends whether you're coming at it from the first person perspective or you're looking at it in someone else's, the third person perspective. So that's where I'm coming from on that.